I would love to see more integration. Like, I would love to see more, like, people of different races come into these places. But often people look at this the wrong way round. They think that the Muslims aren't integrating with us. But a lot of the time, people forget the story of when they first came to this country. We were, like, spraying the P word on their houses. We're throwing bricks through their houses. The National Front were, like, going after these lot. This is actually really sad. Bury Park, right? I did this whole thing with The Guardian where I walked around Bury Park. And I just typed in Bury Park because I really just wanted to show you what it looked like. And imagine this is a local community. Like, this one's about Tommy Robinson. This one's about Britain First. The ethnic cleansing of Bury Park. I mean, like, it's kind of all just racists filming it. And it is literally just a town and just a community. Like, when I was walking around there, it was nice. And I was like, this is actually just a nice place. Like, I just was enjoying myself, you know. It was like, it's just a high street. That's all it is. When you walk through, the only chain, so this is what I noticed, right? The only chain is this KFC. It's like the only one. The rest of them are all local businesses, all like home, like family run, family employed. Like, even the supermarkets here are all like local run, and they are Ramo. It was a rainy, cold Tuesday, Monday or whatever, and they were out in the streets selling, and like everyone was there, and they were like chatting to each other, like, you alright, mate? You alright, mate? And then I got chatting with this guy from Iraq. So, like, when he was young, he left Iraq when the war was happening, obviously. So he grew up with like bombs. He grew up with like the war around him, and then he came here. And like the first question Taj asked him, he went, what do you think of Luton? And he goes, I fucking love it. I love it. Like, he said, I love it. I love the community. I love the people around me. I love this place. Go ask many people what they think of Luton, and they won't say I love it. Like, I'm from a town like basically next to Luton. I grew up in Luton, and I wouldn't say I love it. Like, I enjoy parts of it, but there's obviously problems. It's obviously like in the centre where I used to do parkour and stuff, it was a bit rough. And this guy was just like, I love it. And then I kind of got it. Like, when I was in Bury Park hanging out with him, Taj, and then like seeing this whole community, I kind of got it. Because I was like, look, they all sell street food, and they all know each other, and they're all buying fresh fruit off of here. There's 2 supermarkets down the end, but everyone's buying their fresh produce off of these because they prefer all the fresh stuff. And like, the thing you kind of notice about it, it's just like a little bit poorer. So it's a really bustling high street, but like, if you look at these shop signs, in my opinion, they look a bit tacky in a sense. And you get lots of places, white areas, etc. in Britain, where they just look tacky. They mainly use these big plastic signs sort of thing. They're probably the cheapest. And you can just tell it is a poorer area, but it's bustling. And so the only thing is, if it looked like, I don't know, let's say one of my favourite high streets is probably Hampstead. Like, all that is different here, these are all local businesses. All that's different is that they have the money to afford these amazing looking wooden shop fronts and nice branding. That's what's different when you see a high street like this. It just has more wealth. But you have to notice what you're actually looking at, right? You're just looking at more wealth. The buildings are obviously more beautiful. The fronts of the shops are able to be able to make all the signage out of wood because they can afford like more bespoke stuff. And there's probably more rules from the local council of how you can advertise. In a place like Bury Park, it's not going to have those same rules, and it's going to have more plastic shop fronts. So the difference is kind of like a class thing. It's kind of like a wealth thing. But this is a bustling high street, and I cannot put across in words how nice the atmosphere was. When I was walking through it, and everyone was like friendly, chatty, out in the street. They all knew each other, welcoming. Like, as soon as I walked past, they're shouting like, oh, come try this, come try this. It's a nice fucking place. This was the thing, right? We were talking about why people really dislike these Muslim areas. There is a feeling. I want to caveat this, right? So when I went to Ukraine and I was walking, I was like going through the high streets in Ukraine, and I was like experiencing this culture, this community that was clearly there. Like, everyone's out in the high streets. They're all like, you know, involved in their local food, their local cuisine. And then you go to Bury Park and you see the same thing. And I came back from both of these places, and I sort of felt like there's lots of places in this country where that doesn't exist, and I sort of felt jealous. Like, I was like, why don't we in most places in England have high streets that are bustling? Like, I also went to Italy as well. So I went Italy and then to Poland, then to Ukraine, and then Bury Park. And I just saw these like cultures where there was lots of local food, local traders, people that clearly know each other. They've lived in the same place. They've worked with each other. And then I go back to like my town, Milton Keynes, where the high street is just a fucking corporate shell. It is the worst thing on earth. It's like literally late stage capitalism in a single road. Like, I'll show you. Milton Keynes Centre. All it is this long, monotonous, Americanized, awful corporatist husk. It's Next. It's every single chain you could ever think is here. No one gives a fuck. The owners of these buildings aren't from there. The owners of these businesses aren't from there. The workers, they'll work there for a couple months and they'll go. You'll never get to know people. There'll never be a feeling that you walked into this guy's shop and he's been here for 50, 60 years. The dad of his granddad once owned this place. There's none of that. And I got the same feeling about Bury Park because it was literally just local. Like, what you want in a good high street or a good town or a good place is when you feel like connected to it. You don't get that in a husk of a place like this. And literally, even I felt the same in Bury Park. I was like, there is a community here, a clear, cohesive community. And I do think at some core in this kind of anti-Muslim thing, if I'm to be totally honest, I think there is an element of jealousy. I think there is an element that you're looking at a cohesive community that really supports each other and is connected. And we look at ourselves in some of these dying towns in Britain and we feel like we've lost that. And we're jealous of this. I'll be honest. And I'm not one of those people, like, I'll be totally honest, I would love to see more integration. Like, I would love to see more, like, people of different races come into these places. But often people look at this the wrong way round. They think that the Muslims aren't integrating with us. But a lot of the time, people forget the fucking story of when they first came to this country. And we were writing, like, the P word. We were, like, spraying the P word on their houses. We're throwing bricks through their houses. The National Front were, like, going after these lot. They were put on the defensive. They were put on the defensive and they went and made their own communities. And places like this, places like Bury Park, which were places that were left behind. Luton was deindustrialized. It lost the Vauxhall garage, the Vauxhall factory, lost like loads of jobs in the Vauxhall factory, the hat factory, all of these old industrial jobs that they used to have that used to keep the people together. They got rid of them post-Thatcher. It all went. And so Luton was dying. And then a lot of immigrants came to it because it's near to London and it's cheap. And they came to places like here and they revitalized it. And you might look at it, you might not like it. You might look at the shop fronts and you might think, it looks a bit cheap, it looks a bit tacky. The people, I don't recognize these people, whatever. They are doing something and they're revitalizing. They have a real community here. They're like the last thing that are keeping this place alive. Like, it was on its last legs, places in Luton. It still is. Like, Luton is still struggling. But these people have come in and bought something. Because it actually upsets me a little bit how unempathetic people are to how tough it is to immigrate into Britain. And then once you did it, you managed to make a business. Like, you did the whole Thatcher dream of set up your own local business. And then you're demonized because you're separate from the white community. And you silo yourselves because you're Muslims. You don't want to integrate. It's like, man, they can't fucking win. They can't fucking win. Have we put any effort in society to try and integrate people? I love multiculturalism. I lived next to Heathrow for a time. My Muslim neighbours gave us delicious food over the fence. Sikh neighbours invited us to a wedding. Yeah, anyone, like, I'll be honest, anyone who actually grew up multicultural, likes it. Because you learn about so many different people and it's so interesting. Obviously, I grew up with like lots of people from Nigeria. I grew up with South Africans and I also have like a real affinity to their culture. Like, I love Nigerian food. I love South African food. I have like a real affinity to South Africa because I've been there. I love it. Like, there's something in it. My best mates' family are all South African, so I like all their expressions. I like their accent. You just learn more, because people are interested. Question: do you think Islam is integrating into the UK? I think they fucking tried in the 70s. Then the National Front kept spray painting the P word and throwing bricks at their houses and beating them up. And it made them get a little bit defensive and start to go in communities where they felt safe. I think that probably played a role. I think they do largely integrate, but there are clusters of Muslim communities where they don't. Not as well. And I would also say, do British people try to integrate Muslims into our culture? Would you give a job to someone who wore a burqa? You know, if you see when you're going about your life, do you make any effort to try and welcome people, to try and integrate, to try and learn more? Have you ever made any effort? Does the state make any effort? Does the state ever, I don't know, host big Eid events that invite like the local church and the local British or the local, even like the local white community? They ever try and do stuff like that? Do we try and do these things? Do we make any policies about, I don't know, in social housing, which we don't really have enough of it, but do we try and do policies where we integrate communities? Do we try and do policies in schools to try and integrate communities? Do we do anything? Yeah, and there are places where they are integrated well. There are just also areas where they are predominantly Muslim areas. And they have, have they integrated into British culture? British culture, part of British culture, is the idea of local businesses, locally running businesses. They run businesses. They thrive in high streets. They celebrate, they have events, they do things as a community. I was reading the other day about how 70-80% of young Muslims in this country identify as being British. More and more the younger generation are liberalising their attitudes towards homosexuality. Attitudes towards women are changing. Women are increasing their education. So Muslim groups that have come in, the rates of which Muslims are educated is going up quite a lot, considerably. Literally, like back when they were trying to integrate, they weren't allowed to get houses in areas with white people. So where the fuck else do they go?